okay, don't hyperventilate. Okay, I love it.
I'm not trying to build it up. I'm trying to adjust your expectations. If you're looking for a super fun challenge to do along with some of your favorite YouTubers, then look no further. Creating Cute Art and I created this challenge called CnSCalling, and it's essentially like the game of telephone, or art telephone if you like. In 2020 I created a gouache portrait, not knowing that fast forward to 2022, Creating Cute Art, who are linked down below, will then recreate that piece of artwork, and from there I recreated her piece of artwork, and following that I am going to send it on to another art YouTuber to again recreate. Now you are more than welcome, in fact encouraged, very much encouraged to take part. We've already seen some really wonderful pieces from you guys as well, and you are more than welcome to continue to submit them and put the hashtag CnSCalling. As you know, I make weekly art tutorials, paint-alongs and vlogs, and in this video I'm going to be going through my journey to creating my final piece, which was harder than expected, and some of the lessons that I learned, and also some of the reactions from some of my wonderful friends, aka fellow art YouTubers. This is a spoiler alert for the viewers that like to know the end at the beginning, if that makes sense. If you want to skip the spoilers, then jump to 2 minutes. First spoiler is the artist that's next, the one who's going to carry on the challenge. I wonder if you recognize her voice at the beginning, but if you didn't, here's a clip.
I'm so excited.
Have you guessed? It's Rowney D Major. And for another spoiler, if you want to see the final results, here they are. I kept getting inspired and I kept wanting to try new things, so I ended up doing 3 pieces that I will be showing you the process of in this video. And this is what CnSCalling looks like thus far. The rules are simple, everyone is welcome, all mediums. We're creating portraits based on using someone's art as a reference, and by the end of this video you will have 6 potential reference photos, and use the hashtag CnSCalling so that we can see it and we can support. And I think Creating Cute Art put it beautifully.
One of the biggest things I wanted to get out of this was that feeling of like just being inspired, where you want to pick up your materials and you want to make stuff. And that is definitely what is happening with this challenge, and it already for both of us, because you've made the now 3 versions of this.
I'll leave timestamps in the description, but as part of this challenge I did a reveal to both YouTube artists, and you can catch that at the end of the video.
What was your decision-making process like? Like, walk me through how you got to this final piece that I'm gonna see.
I felt very inspired by Maggie's piece, and what I wanted to get, or what I wanted to focus on for my first attempt, which I thought was going to be my only attempt, was mixing skin tones, like darker skin tones, which I've done before with gouache but haven't really done much of in watercolor. I wanted to focus on watercolor because I haven't done many watercolor portraits, and I thought that this would be a good opportunity to do that. And then the other thing that I really wanted to address, or that I was talking to Maggie about for quite a while, is that I really want to work on my imagination. Like, I feel like I used to have a lot of imagination as a child, but as I've been older, even though I can say that I am creative, I tend to very much like painting what I see, or as close to what I see as I can, with the caveat of the fact that I don't have the patience for photorealism. And so my imagination was really something that I wanted to work on, and something that I was super inspired by when looking at Maggie's piece, because I don't think I would have made those artistic choices that she'd made, with bringing in complementary colors and the beautiful colors of the eyes, and deciding to use like super granulating watercolors on the hair. Just all those choices I don't think I would have necessarily thought of. I think I would have just painted the same thing in my style, like it would look different because I did it differently. So I wanted to push myself outside of my comfort zone with this piece, and not just because I was using watercolors, not just because I was mixing my own browns, but also because I was going to try and work on being more imaginative. With regards to mixing skin tones, I didn't want to just use the like burnt umber or burnt sienna that were included in the set. I wanted to mix my own browns. So I was actually using my Holbein watercolor paints, which were kindly gifted to me. And the colors that I was using were the cadmium yellow deep, the vermilion hue, and the ultramarine light, and mixing them in different ratios to get the colors that I wanted. And I've made a separate video on that. Now, with regards to the background, I think this is where I really like shun, if you like. I really let my imagination go wild. And the way that I did that was initially starting with a yellow background, and then I used masking fluid to paint in some florals and some leaves, and then I just built up layer upon layer upon layer upon layer. And I still wanted to have that element of purple with the yellow because of the contrasting colors. I thought it would just bring the piece together very, very nicely. And this is completely different to my usual thing.
What paper is that on?
This is
Is
like
it your De La Rowney? Yeah.
It
Took so many washes.
It really took the washes really well. It's had like, I think I did 4. I used the Holbein paints. Like
Nice.
The
gift? The gift or the new set?
The gift
Yeah.
paints. Like,
Nice.
oh, I have to.
Awesome.
This is painting number 1, and there are some things that I look at it and I'm like, yes, I did it, and there are some things that I thought I could improve on. So I loved the background, but I almost felt like I was pulling attention away from the portrait with such a strong background, and that wasn't my intention. And the way that I got this effect was by using masking fluid, as you will have probably seen. So I liked it ish, but not enough for it to be my final piece. And as you know, one of the things that I thought may have also been interesting is that I do not plan my paintings very often. Like, I have a rough idea.
I tried to plan. I was like, oh, I'll plan. But actually the planning just happened in my head and not in practice. So it was an experience.
You were thinking in watercolor, as Adam from Doodle Date says.
But then the bulk thinking starts when I start painting, which isn't that great when you're doing watercolors, I think, because I don't know, I don't think it's the most forgiving of mediums. Like, I do think like it requires some forward thinking, otherwise you end up getting muddy colors, etc, etc, etc. So yeah, this isn't what I thought it would turn out as, but it did. I was trying to incorporate my florals, which you know that I love as well. But yeah, so this was the first attempt and I was like, no, I can do better. In theory, the world did not need to know that I painted this. Like, I could have very easily just buried it and not shown it to anyone, especially as it's not a piece of work that I'm most proud of. But I wanted, like, I stand by the fact that this should be fun, and I stand by the fact that, you know, I learned a lot of lessons in this. I had a good time painting it, and thus I wanted to share it with you guys, you know, in the spirit of being open and honest and all that good stuff. So yeah, this is piece number 1. So next we have attempt number 2. Which again I thought was going to be my final attempt, and for this my aim was again focusing on mixing skin tones. I found that because I was using quite a lot of ultramarine light in my previous painting, the skin was granulating, and that's not something that I wanted to do, and it's something that you can avoid with water control. So I wanted to work more on my water control. I wanted the focus to be her and not the background. And I was still very much determined in making sure that I tried to conquer watercolor, and I got better at doing watercolor portraits, because at the end of the day, the best way to do that is with practice. I had so much fun creating her hair and adding all those different textures with the brush strokes. I felt I had a better handle of the skin tones and creating the tones that I wanted. I took some artistic license, if you like, and added a few accessories. Now, I don't know if I can take credit for this. To be perfectly honest, at this point I wanted to focus less on being imaginative and more on creating a piece that I liked, that wasn't me just copying Maggie's piece. And thus this is how we ended up with the second piece.
Then as I was doing the sketch, my sister was like, why did you give her your nose? And I was like, I didn't give her my nose. Like, what are you talking about? I just gave her a normal nose. And she's like, that is your nose. Like, so from there I was like, oh, she was like, next thing, she said as a joke, next thing you're just going to give her, you might as well give her a stethoscope and a paintbrush. Like,
oh my gosh.
Wow. I think that's a good idea.
It was a great idea. I love it. I love it.
Just being completely sarcastic. But from there I was like, oh, I'm going to do it. I'm actually going to do it. So I did that. And that's how we ended up with this. So it's not me, but I just thought it was fun to kind of like add accessories, and still wanted to do purple. So her hair is actually like purple for the most.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Now, this was going to be my final piece, and And the stethoscope, the brush, they're all like a nod to, I guess, me as an artist and a doctor. And I loved like the color in her hair, and, I added little details. One of the things that I really wanted to incorporate from Maggie's ones was the fact that she used like contrasting colors. So she used purples and yellows, and I found that so striking. Like, it's such a beautiful painting, and I wanted to pull that through to all my paintings. And with the other one, it was represented in having like a yellow background and the hair being yellow and glowy, and also having like peaks of yellow in the florals. And with this one, I was like, okay, well, I want to dial it back in terms of the background. I don't want the background to be the focus. I want her to be the focus. And thus a lot of her hair also has like hints of purple. And as you can see, like her top is purple, and then, yeah, stethoscope, and her top is purple, and then, yeah, a stethoscope, because why not? And this actually started off as a bit of a joke, trying to like channel what Maggie did, as well as giving it like a bit of a twist, not quite as heavily on the imaginative side as the other one, but I think I needed to get to a happy medium where I am experimenting with imagination, but I'm also like keeping true to my style. I also felt that I got her skin tone a bit better in this one, in terms of like variations of color. As part of this challenge, I had to do a reveal to show Creating Cute Art what I ended up creating. And while waiting, I realized, because she's really punctual, that I got the time wrong, and that I had maybe 40 minutes left. And I was just watching this and watching this and watching this, like, is this good enough? Will she like it? You just start having like silly second doubts. And thus, while I was waiting for her, I decided to create piece number 3. If you're interested about knowing more about how to paint skin tones, or in particular how to do portraits with gouache and learn from the mistakes that I made, then feel free to check out the playlist. So the third and final piece, and my aim for this one was just to have a different option, to play with colour, to try gouache, which I felt more comfortable with when it came to doing portraits, and to try and tap into imagination again. So trying to basically get good middle ground between the two initial pieces that I did. And I have to be honest, I was really happy with the second piece. Like, that was going to be the piece that was going to show Maggie. I was logged in and everything, and I do think it was as a result of overthinking that I started this piece. This piece ended up taking less time than both of the previous ones, but I think it was worth it, and I'm glad that I did decide to experiment and to try this. Because I knew I pretty much only had 45 minutes to get it done, and I knew that in theory I already had a finished piece that I could present and that I was going to present and that I was completely happy with, until I started micro analyzing it like minutes before I had to show Maggie. I kind of felt like that took the pressure off this piece, right? Like, if it worked, it worked. If it didn't work, it didn't work, and that's okay, because I already have something. But I really wanted to try and be bold and to play with the colors and just see, can I be imaginative? Can I make her the focus? And yeah, play around with gouache. So this is a technique that I want to mess around with again in future, because it was a lot of fun. And in terms of, I guess, my game plan for it, it was basically like, make the shadows purples and blues, make the brightest areas yellows, add some reds for warmth, and just play around with that. I wanted to get lots of different brush strokes. I wanted to get lots of different colors, because I wanted it to look 3-dimensional. I didn't want it to be flat, and that was pretty much it. The things that were a bit of a struggle was knowing where exactly to put some of the colors. So for example, because I didn't quite have a clear idea of how to map everything, sometimes I was a bit confused as to, what do I make red, what do I make yellow. But at the end of the day, I knew that it was just an abstract piece. I imagined that the light was coming from the right hand side, and that's why I put the majority of the yellow there. I then kind of imagined, okay, well, if the light's coming from there, where else would I see some elements of light? Now, I don't think I got it 100% correct, and I do think it would have been helpful to maybe have a reference that had the tonal values that I wanted to demonstrate with these colors, and that's maybe why I'll experiment with this again in future. But I think it got the job done. I do think that I managed to convey what I wanted to convey, and ultimately it was a lot of fun. And yeah, I think all in all it took maybe 55 minutes. So I finished it as I was talking to Maggie, again unsure as to whether I would finish it on time, whether I would be able to show her, but I did finish it in time and I did show her. And both her and the other artist, that if you didn't want to see the spoiler, I'm not going to name, but you can see at the end of the video, was so super supportive of all the pieces. And it's just something to be said about having such a wonderful community of supportive artists who uplift you, but also give you like positive, like also give you constructive criticism so that you continue to grow and get better, but also don't have your confidence shattered. And I've joked with Creating Cute Art quite a few times to say that if ever I feel like I'm having a bad day, all I would have to do is go back and read her comments, as well as comments from you, but read her comments, and yeah, I would instantly feel better because she's just so super supportive. As well as adding the purples and the blues and the reds for warmth, I did add some bits of brown as well because I wanted like some elements of a natural skin color to come through, even though it is an abstract piece, and it did work well as well. Initially I was adding a lot more brown, but I think I managed to get a good balance where it was kind of peeking through, it's complementing the yellow, I can still see that the shadows are blues and purples, and then I added some whites for the brightest of highlights. Because I wanted her to be the focus, I didn't add many accessories like I did in the second one. I didn't want to give it a striking background like I did in the first one, because I honestly feel like in this the portrait is what draws the most attention. So I was and ahhing as to whether I should give a background, and in the end I did do one, but I took quite a few pictures just in case I changed my mind without the background as well. But in the end, I am definitely very happy with the final results. It so happened by accident that when I look at the painting, it ended up being a circle, as in the portrait with her hair and the top and everything ends up coming up as a circle. That was a beautiful accident. That again was not planned, but once I noticed it at the end, I was like, oh, I should keep it, and I kind of neatened it out a little bit more. I added those elements of yellows and reds and pinks to the hair as well. I added those dark purples to the hair in the shadowiest bits as well. Capturing this piece on the phone, like on camera, was quite challenging because I don't know, there's something about all the colors that are in it that makes the white balance of the camera change. So sometimes the painting looks blue, sometimes it looks a bit red, but ultimately I'll put up a picture so that you can see what it ends up looking like. I just say piece number 3 is my favorite. Not to bias you, please let me know which one is your favorite, because I do love hearing everyone's opinion, and I would love to feel more encouraged about all my paintings in general. But this is piece number 3 and I love it. I absolutely adore it. Wash, so whereas the other 2 pieces were watercolor, and I wanted to do watercolor initially because I wanted it to be different to my initial wash portrait, and it was a nod to Maggie's portrait as well, and push myself outside my comfort zone. And I'm glad I did that, and I learned some valuable lessons, and it's definitely something that I want to get better at. But it felt so good. It felt so good to use gouache, and it's not acrylic gouache, so the fact, I don't know if you can tell, but I used a lot of layers, so I was risking it for a biscuit for some of it because it could have quite easily got quite muddy. I'm just so happy with this because the things that I've mentioned I wanted to achieve were using my imagination, which I think I did. As you may know, I'm trying to get better with colour, which I think I incorporated. I stayed true to the yellow and purple, and yeah, I just really like it. These are the final 3 pieces for this challenge that I've done. Feel free to use any of them as a reference to take part in the challenge, and hashtag CnSCalling.
Seriously, I'm so excited. I was so inspired by your photo. So here we go. Okay, ready?
Loading, it's loading, it's loading. Oh wow! This is incredible! Are you serious? Please don't go too harshly.
Oh, that's so cool!
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. Hold it up even closer. Are those metallics?
Oh,
You're embarrassed to show me this? I love it. I love the hair. I love this part, how like the purple bleeds into the yellow here and it makes a really cool shadow effect. I love how this blended
Thank
here.
you.
Love the nails as always, love the glasses as always, loved her face, love the depth of the skin tone. But I totally see what you mean in this picture about the granulation of the ultramarine. And like,
Yes.
yeah, for
Yes.
skin tone, that's tough. So I
know.
totally see that. But yeah, I love this effect that you got with the flowers. I did think it was metallic when you were just showing me in your room because they glow. So that is super cool. I love that. Okay, I can see the outline of it. Okay. Ah! Yes! It's a doctor! And the paintbrush. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. Don't hyperventilate. Okay. I love it. I love it. I love it. Wait, so okay. Okay. Tell me before I get too detailed about this. Let's just be clear. This paintbrush right here is so cool. It's so detailed. It's really drawing my eye. I know that's funny, but like of all the things in here, you can see that you even chose the purple from the hair is on this paintbrush. I think it's so cool. I think the nails are popping, love them. And then I love that you chose red for all of these accents and with the same sort of shininess as the nails, like this super gorgeous red lippy, love it. And then I love the red stethoscope. And yes, I'm so dying that you gave a paintbrush and a stethoscope. And I just love that she has so much gorgeous, voluminous hair that she just sticks her paintbrush in it. Because I do that with my bun all the time. I have curly hair and I can stick anything in there. I can stick a pen in there, stick pencils in there. So this is so real.
Same, thank you. You're too kind. Like, I honestly love your attention to detail. Like, I've always noticed that crazy attention to detail. I changed my editing and you notice. I wear a new top and you notice, like, wow. And you know, I said that one of the things that I really struggle with, that I really loved about both your pieces, because they were amazing, is that you like recreate them. Like you actually have imagination.
You do too. That's right. You said you were worried about that, but I have to tell you, like, I am blown away. That was one of the coolest things that hit me about the first piece. And then I still wasn't ready for the second piece to have that like total Sketches.n.Scrubs flair of it and the stethoscope. One of the biggest things I wanted to get out of this was that feeling of like just being inspired where you want to pick up your materials and you want to make stuff. And that is definitely what is happening with this challenge. And it already for both of us, because you've made the now 3 versions of this that we're about to see the third one. I've made 2. Like, I'm very excited to see what this third one is.
So I started sketching the second one and then I saw your second one. I was like, okay, I have permission to continue.
Yes.
Because I was like, either way, we'll just call this as a rough draft. It's not an entry, even though it's a completely finished piece. And then this one, so your second one, I was like, okay, it's gouache. So I'm allowed to use gouache for this one.
Yes.
Okay, so I actually thought that we were going to meet at 8 o'clock. So from 8 o'clock, I was just like watching the Zoom thing and I was like, I feel like I should do something different. I feel like it could be better. And so I started doing another painting at like...
I'm ready. She literally just did this when waiting on the Zoom. Okay. Are you kidding? Are you kidding me? That is so cool. Holy moly. I am seeing so many gorgeous colors. That's gouache.
I was inspired again by yours because you've done like really like bold colors, like, you know, separated bold colors.
Oh, and you know what's so cool? I can tell looking at this that you used your last painting for your reference. You used your, right? Because that's the face.
Yeah.
I love the face. I hope you do not do anything else to this face. This face is perfect. I love all these colors on the face. I love this blue. Oh, okay. Is that even blue or is it purple? That's what's so cool. Oh my gosh, it's so cool. I love these brush strokes. Don't touch that.
One of the challenges I always find with this is like knowing when to stop. So I'm like, do I just...
I love it so much. Like, I don't know how you even did this. It's so cool. Like, I see stuff like this with really expressive strokes, okay. I need this right here, a screenshot of this. This is insane. Do you see what I'm talking about? Like, Sandy Hester does a lot of really cool expressive brush strokes, and it's one of the reasons I love her channel. I see it, but I don't do it. It's scary. This is a scary thing that you did here, and it came out great. I love this right here. I don't know how to tell you how much I love this one. Okay, I thought, you know what, this has been a roller coaster ride of emotions for me.
I was like, add another one.
Oh, I hope people are seeing what I'm seeing when I look at this, because this is like the way you handle the
I love how you're like zooming in.
Yes, that's what I would do if I were there. When I go to a museum, that's what I do. I get up real close and look at different parts. And I try to like imagine, okay, well, what, like, how did you do this part? Like, how did they decide to do that? Or I don't know. I love that. And that's one of the reasons I love art too, because I'll watch the process. And like I just said to you when we weren't recording, I watched that video of you with the loose florals and I was just like banging my head against the wall. Like, how is she doing this? I do think that third one's my favorite. And it's so funny because that one's probably the one you took the least amount of time on, but I think the other ones are in there. The other ones are in there.
It's just, I remember like with your first one, really being struck by the fact that you like showed skin and you made her, you know, you gave purple and the way you used your colors and like the colors of her eyes and just everything. And I was like, oh, I still want it to tie back to your first one, but I also almost feel like it's tied to a lot of them. Like, does that make sense? Like,
yes, it does.
I feel like there's an evolution. I'm trying to tie all of them together into this one painting.
Yes.
And I do think that this one is actually my favorite. So I think that I can maybe stop. I was also
maybe stop. I think it's so cool because that comment that you just made is the whole point of this whole challenge. Like, that you can see all of them in this one. Yes, I can too, totally. And I just can't wait to see what people do. Made by Dawn in Belize actually did one already in her style, and she has a cartoon style. It's so cool.
Yeah, I saw it. It was so cool. And when I saw it, I knew who did it.
Yes.
I was like, I was like, I know exactly who did this.
Yes. I was like, Dawn. It was awesome. Like, I love so much about all three of them. I think you killed it. You nailed this challenge. You totally nailed it. It was awesome. All three are so cool. I'm loving this. This last one was like print level. I definitely do want to print that. But as you can see from like zooming in on every square inch.
When you zoomed in, I was like, wow, that does look different, huh?
Yeah, it's so cool.
I don't normally look at things in that much detail, but it was actually interesting to see the way that you see.
So I'll be really following the comments on your video so closely. I really want to see what people's reactions are and which one they liked the best or what they liked. Did they see the same things I saw?
Yeah, that would be interesting to see. I am really curious with this whole challenge. I remember initially when you did the reveal, I was like, what am I gonna do now? Like, I have no idea what I'm gonna do. I'm like, I can't just copy what you do when we're hosting the challenge, right? Like, not the point of the challenge. That's not the point. So like, you really pushed me outside my comfort zone. And even when I saw the gouache on, I was like, oh, she's done it again. Like, she's done it again.
Let me know down below in the comments if you didn't check the spoilers. If you didn't, this is the artist that's going to take over next, Moni D Major, who's an amazing artist here on YouTube. And here is her reaction to my paintings.
Well, there's several versions.
There wasn't meant to be several versions, but I was just gonna show.
Man, I'm so excited.
Don't be. I'm not trying to build it up. I'm trying to adjust your expectations. So I'll show you the first one. Right? Are you ready? So this is the
ready.
first one. If there's
Oh
a
my
way
God,
to
did
send
you
you a
use the
PDF.
super granulated colors?
So then I like.
You know what this is? This is a floral galaxy.
That's what it looks like.
You
It
know
wasn't
what I love
intended.
the most? Honestly, the hair. Now that I see it here on Instagram, the background is so gorgeous.
Thank you.
How did you manage?
So then the second one was the one that I was going to show Maggie. I
Oh
sent
my
it to you as
God.
well.
No way!
So this
No
was meant to be
way!
the final one. And it's again watercolor because again
Oh
I was like,
my
I want to get
God.
better at doing skin tones, and yeah, so I gave a stethoscope and like a brush because I was like, oh, it's like me.
What a hottie! Oh my God! Wow.
Oh,
I can't do it justice. I can't.
you most definitely can, trust me. I was just like, oh my gosh, watercolor is so hard. So for The last
Yes,
one.
but isn't that your comfort medium?
Not for portraits. That was going to be the version. That was genuinely like I logged in and then I started overthinking it. I'll show you.
I have an idea. No, what? Oh my god.
So I'll send you a picture. But
What? Wait, look at the rendering of the face in the third one. What? Oh my god. The third one is my favorite.
it's my
It
favorite
really is.
too.
Wow. Because you know what? When you said you have 3 versions, I like the first 2 so much, but this is amazing. The transformation. I like all 3 versions, but you know, when just looking at this rendering skin, third version is just so appealing to me, so beautiful, because this is exactly what I would love to do. You have so many interesting colors in it. The lighting is fantastic, and it is, you know, it looks legitimate. The proportions and everything. This version is so good. I think I'm gonna base my portrait on.
It was just genuinely nerves. What if she doesn't like it? You know, you just start having like silly thoughts like that. And I was like, oh.
I know this feeling, but wow.
The
How
spontaneous
did you do
one.
this? The skin. Wow. I can't stop looking at it. I'm so sorry.
No, thank you.
If you're still watching, then you are most definitely a real MVP, and I really, really, really appreciate it. So thank you so much. Let me know that you're still watching by telling me which was your favorite piece, number 1, number 2, or number 3. Do not forget to check out Creating Cute Art and her video. She actually made 2 videos on this. One is my reaction. Don't judge me. One is my reaction to hers, and the other video is her painting process and her talking about the challenge as well. And stay on the lookout for Moni D Major's video that's going to be coming out shortly. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye.